Hi guys, Fernandes Limbo on the grid. John, earlier today, we were on the bases, or at least on the field at spring training openers.
Yes, we were. I was at McKechnie.
And we were at Orioles, and both home teams lost.
Yeah, but it's spring training, first day. It's good to see baseball back, Grapefruit League, and a lot of fans at McKechnie. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh coaching first base for a few innings.
How was that? Did any problems? Did he get knocking with an umpire? Or what
No. I'll say one thing. The leadoff hitter gets a base hit. He hands Harbaugh his batting gloves, and Harbaugh looked good, putting the gloves in his back pocket. He looked like he knew what he was doing out there. Yeah,
I'm sure he does. Well, it's on the grid. It's not called on the diamond.
Right.
And on the grid, we might as well start off with the story last week.
Right.
We're kind of hoping we would talk about Riverview being a state champion. They lost to Coral Springs in the 8A final, 61-57. Best season in school history, 29-3.
Yeah.
Just every team should aspire to have the kind of team that BJ Ivy had this year, where everybody sort of had their role and everybody fit right in.
Yeah, and I guess reading the stories, I thought Dennis did a great job.
Right, sure.
All year with a review, not just the weekend. But
right.
The word family was put a lot in those quotes about how he considered those kids as family and how that team was a family. And they're together pretty much as a family is how long the winter season is, with Thanksgiving break and Christmas break and stuff like that. So, yeah, a great year for the Rams. You know, what's funny is they beat South Miami in overtime in the semifinal. South Miami was 5-0 in overtime, and I even said last week, Riverview better beat them regulation. Well, they didn't, and they still beat them. So didn't end the way they wanted it to, but hey, great season for the Rams. Yeah,
the Rams sort of got used to coming from behind there, and in this championship game, it looks like they'd make another run there at the end, maybe overtake them, but they didn't. Again, 29-3, best season. In school history, one thing about going forward, a couple of graduates, it's tough to say to carry it over season after season after season because the rosters change pretty much every year.
It is, but what you hope happens is the young guys see with how the older guys did it, and a culture is started. I think that's the big key, is the young guys, the freshmen, the sophomores, they watch how the seniors are about their business, in the classroom, at practice, in games, and they say, okay, I want to get to Lakeland next year. I'm going to do it that way. That's how it carries over, I think, in high school sports, is you kind of emulate the guys who came before you.
That's what you're supposed to do with seniors. That's what you're supposed to do as a rookie in the pro game. Just follow the way the veterans do it.
And there are some great seniors on that Riverview team that if I'm BJ Ivy, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm telling my young guys, watch what these guys did, and maybe we'll be back here again.
That was a bigger story. Individually, we're going to throw out a shout out to Alex Turner, fourth in the voting, Dairy Farmers, Mr. Soccer.
Right, he was a 2A soccer player of the year.
Right, you saw him play, finished with 48 goals. Cougars reached the regional final.
Right.
Any surprise that he got a fourth place? I like to see the first three guys.
Right, yeah.
Because this guy was unbelievable.
Well, he got one first place vote. That's something. And definitely a great player, fun to watch. Knew his role, and the thing about him was, he was pretty physical the games I saw.
He was.
He wasn't afraid to mix it up, wasn't afraid to take a hit, and he scored some big goals for that team. It was a team effort, but you take him out of the mix, and they probably don't make the regional final this year. So, and like I said, he's only a junior. So, Sebastian Marin and the rest of the Mooney soccer program are happy about that. He's back for one more year. And
man, what kind of feeling is that? You reach the regional final, you get the best player, one of the best players that you have coming back for
who
another
knocked in 48 goals, and again, if you get some, and they had guys around him this year. It wasn't a one-man team. He was a big part of it. And they're a young team too. They're a really young team this year, and they made a regional final. So if you're with the Mooney soccer program, you're feeling pretty good about the future. Girls too. Both teams made the regional final. But yeah, great year. Alex Turner, 2A Player of the Year, and fourth in Mr. Soccer voting.
Good for him. What's going on wrestling-wise? I know you're a grappling sort of guy.
Right.
What is going on?
Well, Friday and Saturday at Kissimmee, the Silver Spurs Arena, we got the state tournaments, 1, 2, and 3A. There were 37 guys qualified from this area. But the big story is the guys who are going. Hunter Reed for Lakewood Ranch was 62-0, and he didn't make weight at regional, so he's out. And Lucas Willis for Madden School of Northport was a number 1 ranked kid in 106 at 1A. Friday morning, Imagine gets clarification of a rule that if you don't, he's homeschooled, that if you don't go to school full time, you can't participate in sports. So he couldn't wrestle. So yeah, we had 2 kids who I thought had a chance of making the finals. They won't be wrestling. They didn't make it out of regional. But 170, we have Dakota Flanard from Northport, Jared Hardinger from Sarasota. They're 1 and 2 in the rankings. They could meet in the championship. That'd be pretty cool. Manatee has some guys. Sarasota has some guys. Venice. So it's going to be an interesting weekend in Kissimmee.
You're more of a wrestling guy than I do. You're 62-0. How do you not make weight? I mean, you've made weight 62
Yeah,
other times. How do you not make weight? Are you sneaking a Snickers bar there?
Well, I know Hunter. I've talked to him a bunch of times. He's a really good kid. Things happen. It's unfortunate. The one good part is he is a junior, so he has a chance to come back next year and atone for it. But you don't know what happened. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, I've never had to do that before, so I can't sit here and criticize someone that happened to me.
I don't think you've made weight a day in your life.
Right. So it's right. So it's just a shame that like I said, this is a kid who, he was second 2 years ago, third last year. Who knows what would have happened? But again, he'll be back. He's a senior. He's a junior, so maybe he'll be back next year. And Lucas Willis, a seventh grader, so he has a lot of time.
That to me is unbelievable. How does a guy? I mean, obviously, just coaching and determination. How does a guy get to be so proficient in the seventh grade, taking on?
Well, I talked to his dad, and he's been working with him since he was a little kid.
Right.
And Lucas is actually the brother of Dakota Flanard from Northport, who's having a great year too. So it's just a family with some really strong wrestling genes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Just a couple of quick notes. Braden River softball team is 9-0.
Right.
Got to give them a shout out.
Yep.
The Venice baseball team fell out of the Max Prex Excellent 25 baseball rankings. They fell from 5th all the way out of the 25.
Right.
They're 5-2 on the year. They lost 2 in a row. Last year, they only lost 3 games all year round. Have not seen Venice, but I'm sure Craig Faulkner will get that program. They always are.
If I'm a Venice fan, I'm not really worried. No,
right?
I mean, they play a really tough schedule.
Right.
And like all good coaches, he knows that you play the toughest schedule you can in regular season, get you ready for districts, ready for the regionals. So I think they're going to be fine. You know, they're, again, like I said last year, that team I saw last year with a lot of guys back, one of the most fundamentally sound high school teams of any sport I've ever seen. So I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, they lost to Hoover of Alabama and Jesuit back-to-back games.
Yeah, those are pretty good teams.
Pretty good programs.
So yeah, they're not getting beat by like
somebody's JV program.
Right. Yeah, they're getting beat by some pretty good competition. That's going to make them better for the long haul.
We can't mention Venice without mentioning Sarasota. We always have our HT Preps Player of the Week. Last week we mentioned his name, and this week he won the award. Leo Del Torre, first no-hitter in his career. 8-0 win over Tarpon Springs.
Right.
622 votes out of 1498 votes cast. You think Leo had some of his relatives and friends pushing that button? Or,
maybe.
What happens on that voting thing?
I don't know. I mean,
how does it work?
we can't. You vote.
No, I mean, can you vote over and over and over?
I don't know. I've
again
never
many
voted.
times?
We really can't vote. It wouldn't be kosher of us to vote. So I'm not sure. But maybe you can. You spread the word to your friends. So that's why social media is great. Go on Twitter and say, "Hey, everyone, vote for me," and here's the link. So.
I got to ask you. It's IMG, so it is preps. You got Jim Harbaugh bringing the football team down there. It is the quiet period where you can't recruit off campus. But Michigan comes to IMG. They have 12 of the top 250 recruits in the country.
Right.
Inevitably, is there going to be? They're not supposed to. Is there going to be some contact up there?
Well, from what I read, they're trying their best not to have any, because if they do, it's a pretty serious violation.
It is a violation.
So it's not like I ran into this kid in the hallway. They're trying all they can to keep these two parties apart. So there better not be any contact, because that's a pretty hard and stiff rule. That's not Try not to get in contact. It's no contact. So, but there better not be.
You got coaches down here in the SEC, Maryland, the Georgia coach, upset that they might be recruiting, but also a little bit envious, thinking, why didn't we think about this?
I think it's funny. I think it's funny that some of the criticisms were, these kids need their downtime. Come on, that's.
What downtime?
Not that, but if it's sincere, I appreciate it. But I don't think it really is.
Right.
I mean, these kids need their downtime. Come on. I mean, I'm sure they do, but that's not a beef here. And I give Jim Harbaugh credit. He wanted to come down here, and he's giving his kids a weekend in the Florida sun. And went to a Pirates game. He told me to go to the beach yesterday. So.
And it's being paid for. I mean, a lot of these kids would either be going home or staying on the campus because, frankly, probably don't have a lot of money to travel.
Right.
So in this case, good for Michigan, good for the IMG program. Works well for both.
Everyone's happy.
What else we got coming up? What do we got looking toward next week? We got.
Well, I mean, the winter season ends on Saturday, and then we got spring sports. All area packages will be coming out. Working on those for the winter sports season. So we got some things in the mix, and of course, spring training.
And spring training, which spring training always takes a back seat to high school sports, especially on the grid.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
we'll see.
We'll be out there. So Pirates, Orioles, but both on the
and the Rays, of course.
And the Rays, of course. So join us next week for On the Grid. John Lembo, Fernandez. See you next week.